it was also looking at like the landscape and saying, man, the new media company is you, is Cayla Craft, is Gerard Adams, is you watching this. Like you are the new media company. It is a business now. And so you have to treat it as such and get really clear, then realize that as much as it's about tapping into your own authenticity, it also is nothing about you. It is also everything about who you want to serve and what problem you want to
So
solve.
good.
And so getting really crystal clear on that and like, I help who solve what.
Welcome back to Crafted Entrepreneur. I am so excited to have you all here because today you actually get to meet one of my mentors. He has been inspiring our generation to leverage their passion for success and entrepreneurship and investing. So, Gerard Adams is a serial entrepreneur, angel investor. He's a millionaire many times over, and he's a millennial himself. So he's most popularly known as the co-founder of Elite Daily. And today he's focused on his movement called Leaders Create Leaders. And I'm really excited because he has a podcast, he has programs, he has a mastermind. I personally know him because he coached Chase and I for a year, I think. And he was really a catalyst in helping Chase take off. And I'm so forever grateful to you for that. So I'm excited to have you on the show. So welcome, Gerard,
Yay.
to Crafted Entrepreneur.
Wow. Thank you so much for having me. It feels so refreshing to be on a show in person again and to be doing it in New York City, the city that, helped to groom me as an entrepreneur. I'll never forget, those years and those days, taking a risk and coming into this city, and the city really helped to build me. And so it just feels so good to be here. So good to see you. You look amazing. And I love the new rebrand, Crafted Entrepreneur. So thanks for having me on the show. What's up, y'all?
All right. Well, so I didn't know this. Like Chase just told me that you really grew up in not an entrepreneur. Like you were not raised by entrepreneurs. And I think a lot of people have this misconception that he was able to, sell Elite Daily and be successful and a millionaire by the time he was 24 because he had a leg up. But that wasn't the case for you. Like, tell me about your upbringing and why, you've got some roots here and how you were able to do it without, having the handout that people think.
Yeah, no, it's such a cool question because I don't think I've ever really been asked that, and you're right. Like that side of my story hasn't really been acknowledged. And first and foremost, though, like it just goes to show that money really isn't the thing necessarily, but a good foundation of great parenthood is, right? And so like I was surrounded by love. My mother was such a hard worker. I owe so much to her. Seeing her immigrate here from Colombia and her tell me stories of what it took for her to come here with nothing and have her and the family living in like a 1-bedroom that caught on fire and literally like coming here with nothing. Then, the apartment catches on fire, and my mom was the oldest of her brothers and sisters and she actually got a job. Her first job was literally like dropping out of high school to get a job here in New York on Canal Street. And I don't know if you guys know about Canal Street, right? Well, this is like not the best area. It's where a lot of people go to get like the fake Hermes bags and Louis bags and all the things. Like you can go there and kind of get what you need with name brands. And my mom never had been to New York City, so took the train for the first time. Knew nobody, and like went up to a stand and was like, "Hey, like, can I, work and do something here to like," because she wanted to make some money to help my grandparents out. And so like my mom is like so strong, and I just saw that work ethic growing up and her handle so much as a mother. And then my father, he always grew me to talk to me about leadership and empowered me at a young age. And although he wasn't an entrepreneur, he was a leader within his organization, which is a Prudential, which has become $1 trillion company. And so my dad, really inspired me also. So I had two hardworking parents. And, like recently I saw a comment on DJ Khaled's post, and there's something about DJ Khaled. I don't know if you follow him.
No, I
Oh
guess I
man.
need to.
Yeah, he's just got this energy, right? Like he just always, especially when it comes to branding, like God did, and he has all these things that are really inspiring, especially for the younger generation. He's really empowering the younger generation to go after your dreams.
Mm.
And I saw him make a post about his lifestyle, and he's giving his kid like the greatest lifestyle, right? And somebody was hating on the comment section as like, this world does. And I saw someone comment like, well, he's rich and he has all this money. And like someone commented back to that and was like, well, I can't wait to the day that my kid can talk about what it's like to grow up with a rich dad.
Aw.
And that kind of really hit me because that's when it kind of clicked for me that like I'm able to provide that life for my daughter. And it means the world to me. And like, but that's what we want for our kids, is to become as successful as possible, to provide the best possible life for them while keeping them humble and teaching them, good character and humility while still having that really abundant life. And so I'm really proud of that. And it's been 20 years, looking back, like entrepreneurship wasn't the cool thing growing up. I didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. We didn't have YouTube and all that. So
Right.
to look back 20 years later and see how far I've come, I am proud of that.
That's amazing. Well, and it sounds like your parents instilled the character into you and those values, and the character will take you a long way in entrepreneurship, right? Like just having that integrity. I know that's a huge value of yours. And cuz kind of like once you ruin your reputation, it's hard to come back. And you've just really built up this amazing reputation for yourself, helping so many people. So, I want to take you back to the time when you were building Elite Daily, one of your first eight-figure companies. You had an exit for $50 million. That's
Mm.
amazing. I mean, most people would be like, yay, I'm done. You're like, I'm just getting started, right? But how do you do that? Like, people would love to have that resume. And how did you actually do it?
Yeah, wow. Man, those years was like, I remember we started in my apartment right here overlooking, it was actually on the Jersey side. I grew up in Jersey. And so I'll never forget, I had this apartment and we had like a folding chair and just literally I had no furniture at the time. So it was like me and my two co-founders, which were mentees of mine. They were like interns, 18. I was in my young 20s and man, we had so much fun. And to see it go from that apartment with only like one folding chair and two, three chairs, folding table to multiple floors in the middle of the city.
Mhm.
And we gutted it. We had a gutted firehouse
Wow.
and
Oh, that'd be
so it
cool.
was literally like our own little mini Facebook, like it's what it felt like,
Yeah.
It obviously didn't turn out to be a multi-billion dollar company, but for us, it was just, man, a dream come true to see the culture. And I think that's really what I would say one of the biggest takeaways was like, it really does take a team.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, like, this idea of self-made is, truly bullshit. At the end of the day, like, if you really want to build something at scale and you really want to have the biggest impact, you get to understand what your genius is and what your role is. And you get to truly inspire and build a world-class team and culture where everyone is thriving. And
Yeah.
I think that at that time, millennials particularly, everyone at our company was a millennial. No one was like really older than 24, and we created a sense of purpose. We really developed each and every person on this team. We believed in them, and I think that this is the future of business in a sense where we are building human potential development into your company.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we've looked at it as like it's just our own thing. We leave, we go to our own retreats, we go to, Tony Robbins, we go to these events and it's like
Mhm.
then we come back into our businesses, right? And I think that when you can start to invest into your team the same way that you invest into yourself, the amount of momentum, progress, growth that happens is like undeniable, and you're just able to get the team bonds and can get through all of the hardships together. And I think that we were ahead of the game in doing that, and a little bit by accident, if I'm being honest, you
Yeah, you
know?
just wanted to be around people and hang out, have some fun, and then you
Yeah,
didn't realize you were building culture at the same time.
correct. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's confirmation because right now the reason we're in New York City is for Chase's company,
Mhm.
and they're doing a retreat, and Chase is investing in all of his people, you
Yes.
know? So, and he wants me to come and speak, and I'm like, how am I going to talk to these New Yorkers and get them to figure about personal growth? I need Gerard there. So, okay.
Oh, you got this. Are you kidding me? I wanna hear this. Yes.
So you've got culture going on. How do you sell the company though? Like where did you start talking about it with people like, "Hey, who wants to buy my business?"
Mm.
Like how did you build those connections?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that I hear, is, a lot of people who want to kind of get to the exit, like a lot of entrepreneurs I meet, like they want to know that, right?
Right.
And I think one of the, for me at least, just looking at just my own experience, and by no means is this the way,
Mhm.
but this is just what worked for me, which is not actually trying to exit, but trying to
Mm.
just focus on building a great company. And so for me, like exiting was really difficult because it was like, yeah, maybe one day we'll sell, it's like build this billion-dollar company one day. But for me, it was like, this is our baby. This is something that we love every single day where we're devoted to it. And so there really wasn't this intention of us selling as quickly as we did, but it really was about strategic partnerships. And how do we position ourselves for that potentially one
Mhm.
day?
Mhm.
And I was looking at, and this is something that I like to do. I like to look at like, okay, like how do we get there? How do we grow? How do we get to that next, like break through the ceiling, get to this next level? And a lot of times it's relationships.
Mhm.
You're one relationship away. And so I was like paying attention to like, who do we need to know? Who can mentor us? Who can be an advisor for us? Who can be the right investor for us? Who can be
Oh.
the right strategic partnership for us, right? And so looking at like, okay, Complex, Mark Echo and what he built there, it was like, okay, Ariana Huffington, right? Like, okay, we can leverage with
Mhm.
like a relationship there. Then it was like, John Steinberg, the COO of BuzzFeed, our leading competitor, just left and is going to the Daily Mail. Oh, okay. Let's figure. And I went and figured out he was speaking here in the city at a Morgan Stanley event. It was raining, and I just ran through these streets in the rain, and I didn't have a ticket or anything. I just waited for him at the door and pitched him, "Hey, you gotta come and check out this company Elite Daily that we built and the culture, and we got one of the fastest growing millennial publications in the United States." And just elevator pitched him and convinced him to take a look, and then convinced him to come to our office. And when you got to our office and you saw this thriving culture, that's when he was like, okay,
He
like
was bought in
he
at
was
that
bought in
moment.
at that point. And so then
Mhm.
he became the advisor. And little did we know that within, I think it was like 6 months, that he, going from BuzzFeed to the Daily Mail, he wanted an edge. Well, what
Mm.
better edge than having the leading, fastest growing millennial publication in the United States?
Wow, that gives me chills.
So looking for those relationships, right? And you may not even recognize it that big. And you kind of can do it in a way where it's like, who would be the right acquirer, right?
Yeah.
So like, let me go and just collaborate with them instead of looking at that as competition, looking at it as a way of collaboration.
Mhm.
And you'd be surprised, those companies are looking for your startup right now. They're looking for leaders like you right now, especially these bigger companies right now. They
'Cause
want
that
it.
is what gives them the edge, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, my mind is spinning here because I'm thinking about all the collaborations that Chase needs to make, but
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
so good at that. But when it comes to it, you have to not have your ego be running the show because it could have easily been like, you know what? I'm too cool. I'm Gerard Adams. Like, I got a lot going on. I've built this amazing company. I don't need anybody's help.
Yeah.
But you're like waiting at the door for this guy in the rain. Like,
Mhm.
ego is gone and
Yeah.
you're willing to be like mentored. How does somebody get to that level of confidence?
Well, first of all, I learned that the hard way. I was a very ego-driven entrepreneur for the majority of my career, and that's pretty like how I've actually been able to build these million-dollar companies. I was driven by the money, driven by the grind, the
See, I don't know
hustle.
that, Gerard. So I want to,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
I've actually been looking to integrate a little more of that, Gerard.
We got to find the balance.
Yeah, I've been actually like working on integrating and coming into that balance
Mhm.
where like I got that same ambition, but I'm not driven by
Mhm.
the
You're not gonna
the ego.
bulldoze anybody on the way there.
Right, right. And I learned by the hard way because I missed out on an opportunity, and it took me missing out on the opportunity to realize, okay, I need to like really become a little like, yeah, just become coachable and listen more. And it was because I had a meeting with the Winklevoss twins, and they were interested in our company.
Oh.
And do you know the Winklevoss
No,
twins? The
I'm like,
Winklevoss
"Who's that?"
twins are like well, they were the ones that apparently were the ones that like had this idea of Facebook, and they went to Mark Zuckerberg to build Facebook, and it became. If you ever saw the movie The Social Network, it's a phenomenal movie, and the Winklevoss twins sued Mark Zuckerberg, and they won billions and billions of dollars, and they are actually one of the pioneers of Bitcoin, and these guys are like really
Smart.
far ahead, smart visionaries. And I missed out on opportunity. I feel, collaborating with them because they met with me, and I was like, I need to poof up and act like I got this next
Yeah.
Facebook thing, right? Little did I know that those guys could have really taken it to a whole nother level. And so that's kind of when I realized, okay, I need to I need to pull back. And I never actually shared that with anyone, to be honest. And I just feel like, the confidence also just came from setting goals and reaching those goals.
Mhm.
Like as a team, we would, set like, okay, let's this next month, like we measured our traffic, and we were like, let's set a new goal. And we kind of just almost like a sports team, we would put the number on the wall, and every month we would walk into the office, everyone would like kind of smack that number. We were all working towards something together, and we
Mhm.
would celebrate the wins together, whether it was like pizza parties at the office, or you know we celebrated. And I think that we're, as entrepreneurs, we're so hard on
Oh
ourselves.
my gosh,
We
yeah.
get caught so much that like we never stop to celebrate. Like I still struggle with this, where it's just like the next thing, chasing more, the next thing, the next goal. It's like celebrating is how you build the confidence, like stopping and being like, wow, like we hit that micro thing, like that to me was how we really built the teams and myself. That's how I built my confidence as well, is like really taking time to enjoy the process along the way versus always getting caught on like it needs to hit this next thing in order for us to feel like we've
Right.
succeeded.
Okay, so what does it look like practically to celebrate?
Mm.
Because I've been talking about this with my clients actually, because it's like we should be taking the time. And all of my clients seem to go, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go buy myself a bag. I'm gonna go buy." I'm like, but does it always have to be the buying something for yourself to celebrate?
Mm.
I think that's like a cultural
Yeah.
thing. But like, what does that look like for you when you just celebrate little moments?
I got to tell you, it's literally actually just a practicing. For me, one of the hardest things that I've had to continue to learn is learning how to receive at the capacity that I give.
Mm.
And so we're really, really good at going and giving and doing, but just like as simple as just taking the time to pause, like we did prior to this podcast, right? Just taking a moment to just pause and allow it to just like sit in, like, yeah, we did that,
Mhm.
we accomplished that. And I just breathe into that, and I'll just like journal about it, and what it meant to me, and talk about it with my significant other, like take a moment to just be like, hey, like, I can't believe it, but I just, this just happened, like my client just renewed for another year,
Mhm.
like I'm like actually really excited that this client like decided to kind of renew, and the growth that they've gone from, one of my clients just went from like, 10, 20 million, and now is on track to hit 100 million in a year. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's like, whoa. And like that kind of, for me, is like a huge win
Mhm.
because I want to see my clients succeed. And so like I just really have started to practice slowing down.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of times it's my actual day-to-day breathing exercises, journaling more, and actually sharing it more with someone close to me, whether that's my sister, whether that's my partner Ashley. So, and sometimes it's even with God, like I've really have taken on prayer, and I really have taken on like praying out loud and on a day-to-day basis, and just like praying and giving it up to God and just saying thank you so much for like what is happening in my life. And and that's supported me because a lot of times there's just a lot of struggle along the way. So as much as I'm also celebrating things, It's also helped me to manage the day-to-day stress of an entrepreneur, which is very
Mhm.
difficult.
Mhm. Okay, we got to talk about prayer because I've seen you have been going to Elevation Church,
Hmm.
and I always listen to Stephen Furtick. I
Oh,
mean, I've
wow.
been listening to him for probably 7, 8 years. He's like my favorite pastor to listen
Really?
to.
Oh, we should go together.
I know. I was like, I would move to North Carolina just to go to his church.
Mm. Yeah, I see you and Chase moving to North Carolina. I see it one day if it wasn't for hockey.
I know. So, like, tell me about that journey because I was like, oh, I didn't know Gerard goes to church.
Mm. Yeah, it's actually part of why I'm actually back in Jersey right now, is something called the Saint Gerard Feast. I grew up Catholic. I was named after a saint that was a saint of mothers, and we're looking
Oh,
to conceive and children, particularly children that were ill and sick. And this saint out of Italy. I'm Italian and Colombian primarily, and so my father's middle name is Gerard, and Saint Gerard was a devoted follower of Jesus and performed many documented miracles. And so, like, from a very young age, I kinda had a strong faith, and then, you kinda get told, this is the way, and I kinda disconnected. I didn't really know, like, kind of the Bible or anything. I was kinda just, following suit growing up, and then as I kinda got older, I realized that I wasn't happy. I had all this success, and people were seeing me to sell this company and have all these multi-million-dollar companies, but I was, like, actually pretty depressed inside and wasn't fulfilled. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I was just going after one thing after the next, and it was in that depression of selling my company and being put on this pedestal to speak all over the world and people acknowledging me for the millions of dollars that and recognizing how I really felt inside was broken and like something was missing. It was in that where I started to start a new spiritual path in my young 30s, particularly 33, the year Jesus for me that year, my Jesus year, like was extremely transformational. And I'm still on the path, like plant medicine is something that has really supported me in a really big way, which is unique because like, there's a lot of the Christian community, most of the Christian community has kind of really attacked, me and even my significant other for like that is so, wicked and it's so, it's not the way. But for me, it's played a pivotal role at connecting with God, connecting with Jesus, which will probably trigger a lot of people. And then through me building a new relationship with God, a personal relationship with God, and connecting with Jesus through my first ayahuasca experience and through working with psychedelics, it also has brought me closer to church, which is like kind of, what people think is like the plant medicine kind of would pull you away, but it actually brought me closer to God, closer to my relationship with Jesus, and therefore it kind of brought me back into the church and finding Erwin McManus at first with Mosaic, and Erwin's become a dear mentor to me now. And then moving to North Carolina, I found Stephen, and I was like, man, this guy this has a way of breaking down scripture
Mhm.
for you to understand and relate to.
Yeah.
And for me growing up, it was really hard in the Catholic Church. It was like I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And so now I've been able to find a place where it's been able to help me to relate. And I've been able to come into like a balance of, just like Jesus is my way. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Just like churches bring such a beautiful energy. And I still, practice in a very ceremonious and sacred way with plant medicine, which is also unique. And I know that, it's not everyone's
Journey.
journey.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because I've gone into that path before and I'm like not for it because I had like bad
Yeah.
experiences. But I think everybody is on their own journey. And I'm sad that you've been attacked around it
Oh,
because
yeah, it's been tough, but it's
I
okay.
mean,
It's okay.
yeah, because I think that, Christians, they come from a spot of they want to protect God, and like they don't want people to be like steered away from God. And
Yeah.
so you also attack what you don't know, right? And what you're not educated about. But that doesn't help anybody. Like that's not like it also says in the Bible that like you want to be a witness for Christ. And how can you be a witness if you're an attacker?
Mm.
Right? So I think it's just a good reminder for all of us that like even if you don't believe in something that somebody's doing, a way that they're finding God, pray for that person.
Mm.
That's all you got to do,
Yes. Yes.
right?
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, just like letting go of the judge, like only God can judge,
Yep.
right? And like I think a lot of times we want to project our own
Fears
journey
and
and our
yeah.
own fears onto others, and it's just I've even wanted that even in the very beginning with like plant medicine, and now I'm like, no, like plant medicine is just not for everyone. It's just not. And I respect those that like are listening, and they are feeling spiritually aligned and connected to God, and and church is the way, is enough, Jesus is it, like, and for me it is too. And these plants though for me are tools. And so like, but I don't want to project telling people like you gotta
And I
try
think
these
that's where the
things.
problem is like people will hear you say, "Oh, well, I got closer to God after I did plant medicine." And then they're like, "Well, I'm going to go on it,
Right.
I'm going to go do it next week."
Yeah.
But it's like maybe you should pray about that
Yeah.
and see, is that what God wants you to do? Seek a mentor out,
Right.
that because people don't realize that there is
There's
a
a
lot of
lot of darkness,
darkness.
especially in the plant medicine space too. People
Mhm.
go from one retreat to the next journey to the next
Mhm.
journey, the next, the next psychedelic to the next psychedelic, kind of chasing, chasing, chasing. You got to be really, really careful. And there's no doubt about it. There's darkness in
Anything.
anything, right? And
Even
so,
just in the Benadryl you take. I mean,
correct,
like
yeah.
those chemical compounds. That's how I always try to like say it to people because people will attack just the things that they don't know again. So, anyways, well, I'm excited to see you in church and just saying all this
Oh
stuff.
yes, I love it.
It gets me pumped to see a little family man over here.
Hmm.
So, I want to hear like some practical advice for people who are building their brand right now. Everybody knows at this point you got to have a personal brand or you're going to be irrelevant. How do people stand out in their personal brand in this day and age?
Hmm. Well, it's such a great question. And, building a personal brand is not easy
Mhm.
because it's vulnerable. It's personal, right? It's your
Mhm.
personal brand. And so I think you need to really truly get clear on what you stand for and what you don't stand for. Like you need to truly know yourself,
Yeah.
know your mission. And so I would say start there. There's a lot of people just creating content based on comparison, based on like what think people want them to be like, and the type of content they think other people want from them, instead of, what is it that you feel such a calling for, that you want to get behind and that you want to share from the heart, and that you are willing to put all of you into and stand for that. And I think it's really important to get clear on like, what are your values? What are your brand pillars? What are the five, if you can, what are the three? Getting even more specific as to like, for me,
Mhm.
it's like leadership, business building, and personal branding. And then, family. Family is really important to me, and art. I love art. Like those are like my pillars. If you follow me, like you're gonna see a lot of like art, and you're gonna see me as a family man, as a father, and I'm gonna be talking about how you can scale your business, how you can become a better leader, and how you can stand out and become a personal brand. So figuring out what it is that are your brand pillars, what are your core values, and then it's learning how to step into your authenticity.
Yeah.
How do for me, that's the thing that is the most liberating but hard thing that I see for people, is like learning how to break the mask and just fully be you and let your inner weirdo out, and just and really have fun doing it as well, and know that like you're gonna trigger people. Not everybody's gonna like you, and I've had to learn that I'm just not everybody's cup of tea. I'm a little bit of a spiritual gangster. I work with plant medicine, but I follow Jesus. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's just what it is. You know what I mean? And like, I have a street side to me, and I like to kind of go really deep and emotional. I can cry, like, and so it's just like I've had to learn to. I always say, in order to fully express yourself, you must first fully accept yourself.
Mm.
And so, like, your authenticity comes from like fully accepting all of you, all of your pain, all of your struggle, all of your quirks, and starting to allow that to come out, and recognize that like some people are just not gonna, mess with you, and that's okay. And I think that if you can get comfortable with that, get comfortable with the uncomfortable of putting yourself out there, and then it's understanding clearly what you want to solve. Just like an
Mm.
entrepreneur, building a personal brand is a business,
Right.
right? And so like this for me, when I sold my media company, it was also looking at like the landscape and saying, man, the new media company is Cayla Craft, is Gerard Adams, is you watching this. Like you are the new media company. It is a business now. And so you have to treat it as such and get really clear, then realize that as much as it's about tapping into your own authenticity, it also is nothing about you. It is also everything about who you want to serve and what problem you want to
So
solve.
good.
And so getting really crystal clear on that and like, I help who solve what, and, getting clear on what that looks like. And so that's a couple things. And then there's like, looking at, I kind of have a strategy called R3. And so looking at content from relevancy, resonance, and responsibility. And so you got to be on, like Patrick Bet-David does a really great job of
Love
this.
him.
And if you look at some of your favorite influencers, like they're in touch with culture. They're in touch with like what's happening in the world and relating it back into their audience. And so thinking about, how can you be relevant? How can you be talking about things that are relevant? And
It helps you ride the wave if you talk about relevant things.
Exactly. Even like, I saw one of my friends just posted a video of Jim Carrey, and he kind of just like commentated to it. It got 18 million views. He got 30,000 new followers.
Wow.
Right? So there's like, you can also, like, that's relevancy, like leveraging other celebrities, other news, and commenting and giving your point of view on it, but like leveraging what is relevant that's out there. The next is resonance. And so resonance is like, how are you going to resonate with people? It's like storytelling, activating your own inner storyteller. And so one of the things that you can do that I recommend, that I teach all our clients, is create a timeline of your life. Just literally draw a line across a piece of paper and just draw these different lines as if you're creating a timeline, and go to as far back as you remember, all the way to you now, and think about all the huge moments of your life, like the moments that were the toughest moments, the moments that are celebration and wins in your life, all these pivotal moments in your life, and you'll kind of create your hero's journey. And all of those moments are stories, and all of those stories God has given specifically to you. Like God has given you these stories, your journey, so that you can resonate with others that are going through the same things that you've gone through in your life. And so activating your storyteller, telling those stories, and that can be as like your past, but it also could be things that are just happening on your day to day, things that are just happening every day. You have things that are happening that could be stories that you share. And then the last is responsibility. And so if you're going to build a personal brand and look at it as a business, you do have a responsibility, and so you have to think through, what is your intention? Are you embodied with what it is that you're going to teach? There's a lot of influencers out here that are teaching things that they're reading in books, but they're not embodying
they're
that
regurgitating
wisdom.
it.
They're regurgitating, and that has a frequency, and people can feel that. And so you're probably wondering, why am I not getting leads? Why is it not growing? Why is it not working? Why am I, all that thing? Well, are you truly embodying your message? Because when you embody your message, you're living it. You are walking the walk, not just talking the talk. People can feel that, and they want to follow you, and they want to go where you go, and they like, trust, and will buy from you. And so you have a responsibility to embody your message and then share the value, and not just, just kind of share your opinion on things, but like actually give people, some lessons, give people the value of how they can actually get to, the reward. If people right now are scrolling so fast, it's so hard to get people's attention. So you need to make sure that you give them a reward for watching your content.
Oh, that's good. That's your fourth R.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You gotta add in the fourth R.
That's wild. Like you.
Wow. Okay. So we've talked about so much, and I feel like people are going to want to follow you. Where can they find you?
Yeah. Instagram at Gerard Adams, GerardAdams.com, as well as Leaders Create Leaders. We have a YouTube show. 6 seasons. I got to get season 7 off the ground after becoming a father. I kind of slowed it down. In person is how we do the show, similar to this. And you can check out Leaders Create Leaders on YouTube, Gerard Adams TV.
Yeah. And I highly recommend just going and giving him a follow. He follows, he does what he preaches. Okay. And I could say he's like the real deal in real life. And I'm just so grateful that you have helped Chase and I so much. And I mean, are you going to see him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Crafted Entrepreneur Show. We're going to have a part 2.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about a whole bunch of other things, family life and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for being on.
Yeah. Thank you. My pleasure.